Somehow it's thinner than its title character. Alright, so I'm by myself again, obviously, today, and I'm here to talk about Slender Man. Fuck. I'm not even mad at this one, because I knew it was going to be shit when I walked in. But, man, that was worse than I thought it was going to be. Now, like, some people are calling this the worst movie of the year. I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely up there. It's like, this movie's kind of astonishing to watch, not because it's good or interesting, but because of how much it isn't. Like, this is honestly like the laziest horror movie I've seen in a long, long time. Like, Bye Bye Man had more effort than this movie. And it made me sick, apparently. And I actually like my sinuses have been acting up, but it's gonna be a short review because I don't have a whole lot to say about this because there's not a whole lot of thing that fucking happens. This is incredibly boring with awful cinematography, pretty bad acting all around. There's some couple ones that are okay, but otherwise, like, the acting's pretty fucking awful. Some of the worst like horror movie plotting I have seen in God knows how long. And again, even Bye Bye Man made more effort with its characters than this movie does. And it's astonishing. It's like, you watch it like, wow, they didn't give a fuck. And it doesn't understand what's scary. It's trying really hard to be like a psychological horror thing without really understanding what makes those kind of movies interesting. It goes for a lot of psychedelic visual scares, none of which are that compelling because you don't give a shit about anyone. Okay, so... like, let me give you, to get an idea, kind of like right off the bat, when you know you're in for a bad time, was like the first 5 seconds of the movie. We're introduced to two characters. One, whose name is like the main character. I do not remember her name. You can put a gun in my head. I don't remember. And her friend Katie, and I don't remember that because I say her name about 1,000 times because she's the first one to die. The first thing out of their mouth is like they're watching a video on their phone. It's like a YouTube video of a kitten. And the first thing that Katie, the redhead one, says is, well, she's like, that was a cute video. And then the redhead goes like, would have been better if the kitten exploded, wouldn't it be? I'm so edgy. Like that's her first line is, would have been better if the kitty exploded. And it was like, what the fuck? And then her following line is, you're here if you sneeze, you let that whereby you let out little demons. That's why I never sneeze. I keep all mine for myself. That is the second line she has in this fucking movie. So right out the gate, like, oh, great, we're in for this kind of edgelord bullshit. Okay, great, this is gonna be fantastic. And it doesn't really get better from there. And here's the funny thing about this, is we're with these characters for no more than 10 minutes before before they start dying. This movie gives so little shit about actually developing anyone that it's quite frankly amazing. Like, even really awful horror movies try to, they try to build a little suspense, build a little drama, characters talk for a little bit. You at least get an idea who everyone is in the most basic degree before they start dying. You don't get that anywhere here. Like, the lines I described are the most you get from this character before she dies. That is it. That is the most she gets before she gets axed. Because it cuts to, like, those two girls and, like, two other girls whose name I also forget, also have, like, maybe 3 lines before they start going like, hey, have you guys ever heard of Slender Man? We should do like a summoning of Slender Man. Like, and if somebody goes, who the fuck is Slender Man? He goes like, oh, you don't know? Gosh, you're so not in right now. I'm exaggerating, but not by much. So then they watch like a summoning video, and that causes the horror immediately start happening. That's it. That's the most we get with these characters, and it doesn't get better from there. Because then the movie, like, demands that we care about these characters, not because they spent any time to develop it, but because because the movie tells us we're supposed to care about it. Oh fuck, Slender Man's right fucking behind me. Oh, goody gee. Oh, God. And, like, the more I'm talking about, the angrier I'm getting. so yeah, this movie's idea of horror is random imagery for the sake of imagery. That's all this fucking movie does as far as scare goes. Slender Man as a monster has no definable powers, has no definable characteristics other than the fact it looks like the guy from the meh video game. And that's all there is. Like, we don't know we find out bits and pieces from this character that again, put a gun in my head. I couldn't tell you what they were, except one involved like a human herder at one point, a pipe piper or whatever. That's really fuck all I remember. But it's a character that just seems to have these random ass powers. I guess like its power would be like the only thing that would make sense if it was like a Freddy Krueger like control over dreams thing, because there are so many goddamn dream sequences in this movie that are supposed to like play out as horror, but like so you have all these psychedelic freaky looking sequences like, oh look at us, we're so disturbing, look at our disturbing imagery, we're so disturbing, you guys, and then they wake up from the dream and that's it. And they do that so many times that even if these were scary, they'd lose their impact because you know none of it's real. Therefore, who gives a shit? And even then, even taking that into account, you don't give a shit anyway because you don't know any of these characters. You don't care. They could have died 5 minutes and no one would have cared. It's astonishing how much you don't care. It's amazing how boring this fucking movie is. I just remember sitting there just like trying to find any way to keep myself entertained, tapping a little song on my foot. I was like live tweeting this under my shirt because like I was just so fucking bored and I was trying to do anything to kill the fucking time. This is not the worst movie I've seen this year. It's definitely not the worst I've seen by myself, or at least not the one I've had the strongest reaction to. But man, is this bad. It is really sad when I have to say Bye Bye Man had more effort than this. At least that had to create original character, I think. I don't even know what else to fucking say about this, honestly. I'm just racking my brain. There was the one thing I can talk about a little bit is there are points in this movie or like, I don't know, like an hour into it, it suddenly decides like, oh, we're supposed to root for this main character now. Because at this point, the only defining characteristic we have of the main girl in the movie we're following through most of the hour and a half is that she has a sister. And that's really about it. And that she has a crush on a guy that isn't given lines until like 2/3 of the way through the film. And even then, they only tell us that these characters honestly look and act like Twilight rejects. And honestly, the movie is shot a lot like that too. I'll get to the cinematography in a second, because that's a whole fucking topic I just realized I forgot to talk about. Man, even to sit here talking about this, I'm already forgetting so much of this movie. But yeah, anyway, so the movie wastes our time for like 45 minutes to an hour just throwing out psychedelic bullshit and jump scares and horror sequences without giving me any basis for character that we're supposed to link to these events, that you're supposed to care about, that give us a reason to care about the horror on screen. And again, it's amazing how incompetent this movie is at being a basic horror movie. But anyway, so yeah, 2/3 of the way through this movie, hunky dream Twilight reject goes to talk to not Bella and like asks her out, and I was like, oh, movie, don't pretend like you give a shit now. Don't pretend like you give a shit about these character arcs or these character motivations. You didn't care before. You clearly don't care now. Stop fucking pretending. And literally 2 seconds when they start building that up, another fucking jump scare happens where they see Slender Man off in the distance, something like that. Or maybe not jump scare, but like be disturbed kind of scare happens like 5 seconds later. But it's almost kind of hilarious because a sequence happens beforehand where another one of the girls, Chloe, and I don't remember her name because they all say her name 5,000 times after she basically dies. And so at this point, Katie, the redhead one, is dead. And this other girl named Chloe, who I guess saw Slenderman's face and that's how it gets you. she goes missing too, so there's 2 girls left, not Twilight Girl and Bookie Nerd Girl, I guess? Is that what she was supposed to be? I don't know. But she's like the only one that's done any of her research on any of this stuff, and for a myth that's supposed to be like nobody knows where this came from, nobody knows it does, she was very easily able to find it on Google, so apparently it's not that mysterious. And by the way, if there's like certifiable evidence online this thing exists, why isn't like the government or anyone like, why there aren't more people studying this fucking thing? But I digress. Where was I going with this? Sorry. And so they go over to her house to like kind of figure like, hey, what's going on? And then a jump scare happens where she like appears at the door, but she looks all fucked up and crazy and like she's clearly not there. And her friends, after seeing this, and she's clearly not acknowledging them, is clearly not all right in any way, shape, or form, just fucking leave her there. Like, what good fucking friends, right? They don't call the police. They don't get anyone to, like, get her out of there or, like, take her to a hospital or anything like that. They just fucking leave her there. Like, these characters were defined, they'd be fucking awful. In fact, everything we do know about them just shows how awful people they are. Like, again, that was right at the bat. I was like, I don't feel bad if any of these people fucking die. Like, I realize I'm contradicting myself. God, I'm just trying to process the shit that I just saw. I'm getting angry the more I'm talking about it. God damn. This is why I should stop seeing movies by myself. This is what happens every single fucking time. But anyway, so yeah, the main girl decides, and then the main girl, while they're walking away from their supposed friend, who's clearly not okay, is to say, I don't want to do this anymore. And then like the researcher friend looks at her kind of like, oh yeah, I don't fucking want to do this either, but we're kind of in it now, which, like, okay, fair. You could easily just, I don't know, call and talk to people about this, but fair, whatever. I mean, I guess who would believe you anyway? But then she goes like, you know what, I got a date tonight with the real boy, and none of this stuff is real, so I'm gonna go do that. Sorry about your friend, bye. So then she fucks off to go with the boyfriend's house, well, the not boyfriend, Twilight Reject's house, and they don't even have a conversation before they start making out. And to be clear, at this point, we're not even aware that these characters have, like, an actual, like, friendship or anything. Like, for all intents and purposes, this is the first time they're spending any actual time together. And they immediately start trying to fuck. I mean, goddamn, this movie is so fucking lazy. It's so lazy. Goddamn. Ugh. I got nothing, folks. This is one of the laziest horror movies I think I've ever seen. That wasn't deliberately trying to be, you know, like some of that bullshit you see on Netflix that you know is, like, you know they know it isn't good. They're just pumping it out. This one almost feels like someone really want to make a psychedelic horror film, but was so woefully incompetent on how to do so. Like, they clearly had no clue what they were doing. This felt like that this movie was made in a rush, and they took the first draft that was received. They didn't read it, they didn't edit it, they didn't change it one fucking bit. They took the first half-assed, done in a sleep-deprived weekend script and just went straight to pre-production. That's all they did. That's the most work that went into this. And let's talk about cinematography in this movie, because it's, like, again, just woefully incompetent. That you can't even film night scenes in a good way. And, like, granted, there's a good way and a bad way to film night scenes. This is the bad way in that when you're filming a night scene, you need to see what the fuck is happening most of the time. But 90% of this movie is at night, you can't tell what is happening practically ever. And the day scenes are shot like it's from Twilight, which is kind of amazing in itself that people still think it's a good idea to do that. And so, like, when they're in this, there's so many scenes where we're in the forest, and it's so fucking black that you can't see a fucking thing. And it's painful. Parts that are literally painful because there's carrying on a flashlight, and they'll just flash the light at the camera, like directly into the camera. So the parts are just like, ah, son of a bitch, as this flashlight goes off in your eye. So it wasn't very good. So, yeah, this movie sucks. It absolutely deserves every bit of its 11% rating on Rotten Tomato. I'd probably score it lower, honestly. Like, I wouldn't give this above a 5. Is it the worst movie I've seen this year? Probably not. I'd still say Show Dogs is probably more aggravating, or just more irritating. This is just boring and inept. But even Show Dogs had more effort than this movie did. At least I had Will Arnett. But yeah, like it to me, the only thing that's interesting about this film is how incompetent it is. And that, like, I can't think of a better way to describe this movie. Just, it was made by amateurs, and it shows. Like, I don't know what else is the work these people have done, but I would not be surprised if this was a first-time movie for somebody. And if it is, you can kind of cut them some slack. But if it's not, you should really be fucking ashamed of yourself. Yeah. I'm hungry. I'm just gonna quickly go over trailers so I can go home. Unless I can think of something else to talk about in the next 5 minutes. But, most of these trailers I've got before, so I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on them. Let's just get through it. So, first trailer was for The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. I still can't believe this is a fucking movie I have to go see now. This is definitely one of those weird reboot ideas where it's like, who looked at The Nutcracker and decided, yeah, I can make Chronicles of Narnia out of this? I don't know. It's got Morgan Freeman. Although, are we still allowed to talk about Morgan Freeman? I don't know anymore. Like, that was a kind of a sexual misconduct allegation that kind of came and went, and everyone kind of stopped talking about it. Surprisingly, Morgan Freeman just kind of fade away from the controversy from that, which I'm kind of wondering why. Maybe there was a substantiate. Anyway, that's all topic for another time. I don't want to talk about it right now. Then I got a trailer for Second Act. Oh, that's the J-Lo movie. I think I talked about that with Karina with Mamma Mia too. It looks like a movie that only exists because it's not background checks. That's my thoughts on that. Overlord I talked about, Halloween I talked about, The Predator I talked about just yesterday, The Nun I've talked about, and The Girl in the Spiderweb. I talked about all these movies before, so there's not really much point in regurgitating them now. Other than that, yeah, final thoughts for Slender Man. It fucking sucks. You weren't watching this because you thought it was going to be good. You watched this because you wanted to watch me rant about it, so congratulations, you got your wish. Oh, God. I guess the one saving grace is that the last movie I gotta watch for this week is the Black Cake Klansman, which movie I actually do want to go see. And then next week I think it's Crazy Rich Asians and either Alpha or Mile 22, but I probably won't go see both. So, oh, by the way, before anyone asks, I wasn't able to go see the Death of a Nation movie because it's went out of theaters today before I can wrangle up somebody to go see it. So if there's really a big demand to go watch that one, which probably is going to be the worst movie of the year, even though it has an A in Cinema Score, so fuck Cinema Score. I'll watch it when it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever, and so that one makes the ranking this year, because I know I missed out on Hillary's Miracle last year. Was that last year or was it the year before? Oh, God. Man, I don't know anymore. This is all just flying by so this year's flying by so fucking fast. So yeah, if you're eagerly waiting for that one, you're gonna have to wait a bit until it comes out on Blu-ray. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. I'm also gonna make another trailer video about Titans, because YouTube friend of mine who's also calling himself, what was it, Tyron the Movie Nerd, I believe, suggested that one to me, and that was a case where, like, I can't believe I didn't think of that one before. So that definitely one's going to come up when I have free time, and otherwise, that's it. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all later.